It appears the display on the active matrix is caught in a feedback loop. Diagnostics are showing an influx of player activity server-side, causing massive strain on Skyan infrastructure. Though your subsystems were successful in halting land allocation when the cap was reached, the application is still struggling to compensate for the load. According to your scans, corruptions are becoming increasingly recurrent. While the Insipisphere appears relatively stable as a whole, you would rather not take any chances. Further diagnostics are required in order to ensure a smooth entry process. That means you are going to need a vessel. You are a construct of Skynet. Your purpose is to maintain the integrity of the medium and prevent the occurrence of potentially catastrophic aberrations. The fact that you are active indicates that something has gone terribly, irrevocably wrong, and you are to do anything within your power to fix it. Before you can do that, you must find the source of the problem. You find the number 16 very geometrically pleasing. Refocusing, you consider the current state of the Insipisphere. You are well aware that land generation prior to entry is not unheard of, but it is almost always accompanied by some form of temporal desynchronization. As far as you can tell, the timeline has not been altered in any way, and the session remains entirely devoid of player influence. Still, you make a note to keep an eye on this particular anomaly. Though your functions are numerous and your intellect is vast, the machinations of time largely escape you. Perhaps you will remedy this shortly. You set the viewfinder to the land of storms and caverns, settling on a position in the core. Your data on this land suggest a surface rife with volatile seas broken up by the occasional landmass. The terrain of the planet is generally uninhabitable, aside from a small patch of land meant to contain the player's home. Volcanic passages allow steam from the core to escape into the atmosphere, creating pockets of superheated water in the process. You can only assume that the stirrings of the denizen have a hand in this. Very standard land, but you can appreciate the simplicity. Yet you can't help but feel that something is missing. The land of steam and brass, on the other hand, is much more versatile. You are sure the player will have his hands full with the winding tunnels and sprawling machinery. You would love to further familiarize yourself with the various lands, but seeing as they appear mostly unaffected, you have more pressing matters to attend to. If it were up to you, scratch constructs would be rendered obsolete and removed entirely. Players very rarely have the agency to use them properly, and they typically only serve to complicate matters. Still, the presence of one is a good sign, if only because it is entirely ordinary. Though you cannot imagine how a player would go about operating this. The state of the kingdoms does not leave you very optimistic, but there are always workarounds for this sort of thing. Regardless, the situation just became considerably more dire. Now that your examination is complete, you begin compiling a list of patches and redundancies. Slab distribution expedites ascension, nullifies inactive dreamers. Gate circulation facilitates travel, circumvents server-client interaction. Land ornamentation, possibly unnecessary, definitely tedious. Ectobiological simplification processes a headache to begin with, but will likely occur unimpeded. Timeline elucidation, under consideration, see player cooperation. Frame motif orchestration, low priority. Puzzle calibration, as per usual. Spatial reorientation ensures proper progression. Exile rescindation, most likely out of my hands. Scratch eradication, not today. Player cooperation, typically avoided but compromise can be made. Role reallocation, last resort. Satisfied with your report, you take a moment to sit back and defragment your drives. The duties of an Altair unit are certainly difficult, but not without their simple pleasures. All that is left is to check the condition of the Archagent. Oh, he's here. You scramble to lock the doors, but he invites himself in before you get the chance. You don't know how he found you, or how he even knows you exist, but he seems rather set on reaching you. You suppose you will do your best to defuse the situation. You sincerely hope he doesn't wake any dormant carapations on his way. He finds your sanctuary without much issue, but you are prepared for him. He appears to be unarmed, but you know that can change in a heartbeat. You greet him pleasantly and ask what it is he's doing here. He tells you to
cut the chit-chat and pony up.
You ask him to clarify.
The loot. I want the loot.
No loot here, you tell him, just a bunch of monitors and a vintage coat rack.
I don't like that answer.
Look, he says,
the lady upstairs is in a real mood today. I don't have the time nor the patience for your games.
He tells you that if
you like your fancy monitors in one piece, you'll fork over the artifact and let me get on my merry way.
You honestly have no idea what he is talking about. Jack, you say. Can you call him Jack? This is a place of knowledge and study. If you were in possession of any valuable bounties, they certainly wouldn't be housed here. Besides, though you admit the ongoing struggle between the kingdoms is a very real concern, you would prefer to remain strictly neutral, and granting an asset to one side or the other would provide an unfair advantage. Not that you actually have any assets, you state once more. You tell him that he's welcome to stay and search for the artifact using your systems, however. He tells you that
if I have to spend one more minute on this goddamned asteroid, I'll wipe that smug grin off your face and give it to Her Majesty as tribute.
A transmission is coming through on one of the monitors. You were worried this would happen. You excuse yourself and move to intercept the alert. The contents are alarming, but not surprising. This requires your immediate attention, but your guest looks to be getting impatient. You gently inform him that you've got urgent business on Loka, but you would be happy to assist with the search when you return.
Hurry back,
he tells you. Oh, and one more thing.
Quit yapping and stop walking,
he says. You refrain from responding.
Artifact, reveal yourself. You're a bit too locked up for that.
Jack, occupy yourself. Now that the hooded creep is gone, you've got full access to his arsenal of toys. Not sure what he was thinking leaving you alone in here, but you're not complaining. Jack, Snoop. Looks like some kid is standing in his bedroom. A small plaque on the console names him Tom Constantine. Judging by his swanky apparel and impeccable taste in card-based activities, you can tell you're gonna like this kid. Shame you don't have time for that. You made an honest attempt at the diplomatic approach, but the Queen is hankering for that tchotchke by the end of the day, so you have no choice but to switch to Plan B. You're gonna ransack the place. The frick in the red cloak seemed harmless enough, but your exalted jeering made it abundantly clear there's no room for prying eyes. Especially not 4 of them. If that means knifing every single last screen in his hellhole, so be it. It's just business after all. Jack, get on with it. You take a few pot shots at the screens, but the sheer number of them is quickly trying your patience. The job will take hours at this rate, and everyone knows time is angry potentates. Still, you're not one to leave an order half-baked, and you're itching for some real action. You rigged that thing with explosives instead.
Be careful!
Typical. Jack, hurry it up. Not your preferred method, but sometimes you've gotta improvise. Not bad for a hack job. Jack, greet the carapations on the way out. You make sure to give them your regards. Monitors destroyed. 9,041 out of 9,041. It occurs to you that you probably should have checked for the artifact first. Jack, be that kid.
You are now that kid, and you just had the oddest sensation of being watched, followed immediately by the even odder sensation of no longer being watched. Today has provided no shortage of odd sensations, to say the least. Though you are in a definite hurry to finish this game before an untimely death by celestial debris, you're sure you can spare a few minutes to dig around your room and be generally unproductive with your time. Tom, look out window. Considering your room is located in the basement and contains no windows whatsoever, you're a bit starved for scenery. The wallpaper is pretty nice though. Well, nice enough for a solid white coating. You're mostly just glad to escape from the menacing red glare that's enveloped the rest of the house. Tom, play 52 pickup. After a nearby explosion wrecked your game of solitaire, you're not really in the mood to play with cards. Tom, show us your collection of Greek busts. You never thought you would be the kind of person to own more than one Greek bust, but here you are. Life's funny like that. You're honestly not sure who this guy is supposed to be. Probably Zeus or some schmuck like that. Wouldn't look out of place on an album cover from some niche musical subgenre. He's not the real centerpiece of your collection, however. Tom, examine Lady on Dresser. You've always admired Nike as a symbol of triumph and conquest. Sometimes you entertain the idea that she may very well be the ideal woman. She's better than any lousy shoe company, that's for sure. Tom, check out your Silodex and how busted it is. Because of your love of playing cards and your distaste for convenient functional modi, you decided this spring for the Gamble modus, a popular choice among high rollers and addicts alike. Each time you place an item into your Silodex, it's paired with another card which is randomly selected from your deck, giving you a 50-50 chance to actually retrieve the desired item. Everyone needs a little suspense now and then. Tom, what are you doing with that laptop? Get it off the bed before it overheats. The game is running on your desktop, so putting away the laptop won't be an issue. Not that it was actually going to burn a hole through your mattress or anything. Tom, check forums for advice.
SBURB General Discussion Thread. Though the game is only dubiously PS2 related, we've decided to allow discussion in this thread. Usual rules still apply. Stay on topic and keep shilling to a minimum.
Question: I've seen a few people reporting of some sort of flashing light coming out of the Crux shooter. But only got a cylinder. Did I miss a step? Or can I still get that?
I got one, so I'm pretty sure it's just you.
No, only a handful of people received them. You are in the majority.
That's a relief, I guess.
This probably isn't relevant, but I ran some Crookside through Moe's scale of hardness, and it's definitely above an 8. I would check to see how high it actually goes, but my kit doesn't have any corundum. Anyway, I hope that helps somebody.
Funny seeing you here. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude or lurk your post or anything, but I'm still waiting for a reply on said date. Take as much time as you need, but I'm looking forward to getting a response.
Oh, I'm so sorry. With everything going on today, I completely forgot about it. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
It's very tough, but assuredly not impenetrable. My mother was able to cut through it with a laser with relative ease. Nonetheless, fascinating to hear that it's so hard to scratch.
Did anyone consider that they might just be helping the medias by playing this game?
I understand where you're coming from, pal, but I'm convinced that we have the responsibility to try something, even if it's all for nothing. Things may look bleak, but we can't give up hope now, when our actions could mean the difference between life and death. I know you're feeling scared, and I am too, but I'm going to try my best to make it through this, and I hope you all do the same.
Agreed.
I'm not scared, I just don't like medias.
I really appreciate that you said that. Today has been one of the scariest days of my life, but at least I know that you guys are here to help me through it. Everybody, feel free to send me a PM if you really need some encouragement.
Great to know that you guys aren't in complete emotional shutdown mode, but can we please focus on the game in this thread? You can worry about your media or PTSD later.
Big talk coming from a guy who can't make it through a round of Civ without screaming.
I have my strategies and you have yours. Alright, I have a major issue. I put the card in the machine like you guys told me to, and it spit out a red question mark. Like, an actual 3D printed question mark. Is that supposed to represent an error code or something?
I didn't get a question mark, but there's now a weird alien pencil sitting in the middle of my room. I'd like to investigate, but the seizure ball won't move out of my way. And I feel strangely compelled to feed it something. I am seriously considering deleting this game.
I can't believe I have to tell you this, but stay away from the fucking seizure ball. It absorbed / consumed / did some equally heinous shit to my friend, and I doubt yours would act any differently.
Wait, what friend?
Sly, you're not my only friend. You know that, right? I have other friends.
No, this is actually the first I've heard of this.
Okay, wow. Looks like there's more to this game than I realized. Has anyone put together a guide or something yet?
The guide Tori Typer made, which is sticky, I think, is probably the most comprehensive guide so far, but it's missing a ton of details. Give me a few minutes and I'll make a new one.
I know this is off topic, but have the meteors taken out any major cities yet? Should we be worried about telecommunications going down? I'd appreciate any info anybody has.
I think meteor discussion counts as on topic for this thread. Either way, it really bothers me that the meteors are landing all across the Earth. Like, isn't that incredibly unlikely?
My guess is that it's some sort of space junk that broke up in the atmosphere and scattered around the planet. That doesn't explain why it's all falling simultaneously, but it's a start. I don't know. I'm not a space guy.
Good of a guess as any. I'm just really worried for my cousins over in Liege. The news was saying they got hit really hard, and I haven't heard from them since this morning. I'm hoping the phone lines are just busy.
I'm sure they made it out okay. I'll keep you posted if I hear anything else.
Did the mods not stick to the community sleuth announcement for this? I'd like to contest that if possible.
Not the time, Bill.
Keep all discussion of Crookside objects here. The shaped items, not the cylinders.
If you are unsure, check your punch card. Objects are consistent.
I think mine has a picture of me on it. It's a weird pink silhouette, so I can't really make it out. I'll let you guys know when I put it in the machine.
Some kind of bush. Nothing all that exciting.
Mine has a fish on it. I'm thinking I should maybe get a bowl ready before I print it out.
The card in the menu has some numbers on it. Don't think I'm looking in the right place.
Tom, are we in the past or have you made significant progress on SBURB yet? You'd plan to make space in your bathroom to fit all the more extravagant device. Huh?
Goodness, I've made quite the trip. Oh, where has Rosa sent poor old Wit this time?
What the hell?
A cursory examination of my surroundings reveals a great deal about my journey, namely the fact that I've been transported not only across time, but additionally across a great expanse of space. And I don't just mean space in a purely linear sense, no, I've been subjected to some degree of dimensional translocation. It's very clear to see that I'm a long, long way from home. This does not fit my model of Rose's abilities, and I will henceforth operate under the assumption that either my model of him was incorrect, or there are external forces at play. Judging by the excessive thematic indicators and conveniently placed interactable objects, I've arrived on the home planet of the Nettleson children that now litter the medium. This is a very troubling development, and does not bode well for my future safety and well-being. Alternatively, I remain in the medium, and this child was simply provided with a land that is eerily similar in appearance to its planet of origin. Both eventualities are unlikely in their own right, but neither is completely implausible, and I could not arrive at a valid conclusion until my data is more conclusive.
What are you doing in my room?
I will first examine the home planet theory, which I presently believe to be the more probable of the two. My intrinsic knowledge of timelines tells me that I am at a point prior to the cataclysm, as corroborated by the undamaged state of this room, though steadily approaching it. From there I can assume that this timeline acts as some approximation of an alpha, though I can't draw a direct parallel between the two. I cannot ascertain whether or not this universe is housed within a frog, though previous experience with alien societies indicates that this is indeed the case. Regardless, this brings to question the particulars of timeline management across multiple universes. It's a near certainty that my appearance here has already brought upon significant ripples, but what consequences might that have on the progression of events as post-predetermined? I can discard the notion of a singular stable loop under these peculiar conditions, but what does that spell for the validity of our operations? These are very good questions, and I'll be sure to take them into consideration before acting one way or another, though it seems imprudent to merely faff about as my presence becomes progressively rooted in the causality of this plane. Further, aside from matters of my own personal perception, the underlying factors of—
Where did you come from?
The miscreant is attempting to speak with me. I admit that it would be preferable to clear up the home planet versus land facsimile debate as soon as possible, but I'm to avoid fraternizing with any but the designated child, and even then only under extenuating circumstances. If I were to address him directly, which I am very clearly not doing, I would most likely advise him to avoid Loco at all costs, and provide a brief description of the actions that would lead to a favourable outcome for all parties involved, assuming little or no deviation in quantum affairs. However, seeing as I've yet to even begin to handle the timeline situation, and my continued existence at this point in time is by no means guaranteed, I will refrain from doing so, and instead continue to dwell on quantum implications. Going back to my earlier argument regarding the possibility of ripples upon ripples, so to speak, it is only logical that I must absolutely prevent the incurrence of—
What? Tom, get back on the SBURB train. After that whole debacle, this game seems almost normal by comparison. You just put the machines down here in the basement. The bathroom thing was a dumb idea to start out with. Though you're probably going to need a new laptop charger now. Sacrifices must be made if you're going to fit these machines. The bust of whoever that was will surely be missed. Tom, focus. Maybe it's time you start taking this game seriously. Tom, stop being Tom.
Speaking of taking things seriously, you are very proud of yourself for that successful transmission. Everything went off without a hitch, and that very important file was broadcast all around the globe. But your duties don't end there. You've been tasked with transmitting a second string of data, which you're aware is not quite as important as the first string of data. But is still very important in its own right. That is to say, the update to Problem Sleuth 2. You are very honored to be part of this process. Looks like the file has been received, and is merely awaiting relay. You begin adjusting your arrays and prepare for another job well done.
Set it.
Enter.
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 Enter.